Franchising is the most misunderstood and most overlooked form of entrepreneurship. We're here to educate you and help you find the entrepreneur within. Franchising is not all about the French fries.
We find that individuals who are exploring business ownership tend to have a lot of misperceptions and misunderstandings about the franchise industry. So what we want to do is help prospective business owners make confident and educated decisions before moving forward or not moving forward with a business. Welcome to Unpredicted Entrepreneur.
Hi, welcome to episode 55 of Unpredicted Entrepreneur. I'm Roxanne Rapsky, and with me today is my colleague, Sarah Wasco. We created this podcast to bring you education and information about business ownership, and really the focus is on franchising. Sarah and I are both franchise consultants, and our guests today are here to share their story of becoming business owners. So today we have with us the owners and founders of Next Day Access North Dallas. We've got Brian Caldwell and Leslie Caldwell. Leslie is the president. Brian is the vice president. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yes. Excited.
Happy to hear your story and have our listeners hear your story.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, people that are looking at a business always want to hear stories of other people that have done it. What was it like for you? What did you do before? What drew you to franchising? What drew you to business ownership? So kind of just take us through where you were at when you initially reached out to me. Like, what was going on in your mind? Why were you considering business ownership? There was something happening in your life at the time. So just kind of let's start there.
Sure. Absolutely. So I guess probably going back to about 2020, 2021, Leslie had mentioned that she was looking to explore a different career path after she neared retirement. She had been working with Geico for 25 years and was ready for a career change. And I've been in the marketing arena for over 30 years in various capacities with hospitals, airlines, and a casino. And so I myself was looking to do something different. I was kind of getting burned out of the corporate world, if you will. And so we had playfully talked about franchising for about over a year. And it wasn't really until, I guess, a little over a year ago when we met, when we found you. And or before that, we actually had taken a break and decided we needed to maybe buy a couple of books and read about what franchising is and just the terminology. And so that was Leslie's idea, and that was a great idea because that gave us a 2-month break to figure things out. And then then we started doing our research and in the Dallas market. A lot of people don't know. When I try to tell them about you, they're just amazed. They don't realize that there's somebody like you that offers this sort of service.
And in this market locally.
Right. That actually lives here and can meet with you. And so they're pretty amazed. So, because they're just like, how did you go about that? Just seems very daunting. I'm like, yeah, it is.
I mean, seriously, when you think about trying to invest that much money in a business, I really, truly cannot imagine just trying to go online and trying to filter through. I mean, our natural instinct is just to go online, but I can imagine it would be overwhelming. Had you done any of that before reaching out to Roxanne? Had you done any looking on your own or kind of started the process?
We actually had a business that we looked at a little bit prior to reaching out to Roxanne. And it was a business that's very similar to what we ended up doing right now, which is interesting. But when we did start working with Roxanne, we knew we wanted to continue exploring that company. At the same time, we went through the discovery process with the 4 concepts that Roxanne presented to us. And so it just became clear through that process. We probably took them off of our list of consideration about a third of the way in that process, I would say. So, but it was good to have that and to work that alongside what we were doing with Roxanne.
Well, you had some experience with needing mobility products, and you really felt that when you were in need, that there was a lack of a need.
Yes.
And so you guys really had a heart for wanting to provide this you felt that there was a need in your market.
Yeah, definitely. We were exploring some things for me in 2018 and 2019, and I just found it difficult. Everything was fragmented, and there wasn't a good place to go and have a big selection of products to choose from, or someone to walk us through that process. And so we were drawn to this business that we chose because of that. It had a special meaning to us.
So while we're on the subject, tell us what Next Day Access does. What do you do for your clients?
Sure, absolutely. So Next Day Access North Dallas provides mobility and accessibility solutions and products to those in need. So there's some categories are aging in place where the elderly are looking to stay in their home in a safe way. They're trying to navigate through their house or in their house or out of their house. And then another category of population is just simply those that are coming out of a hospital rehab situation where they need some ramps, some wheelchair ramps in their house. So there's wheelchair ramps, there's bathroom grab bars, in-home elevators, stair lifts, or some people call them chair lifts, and then pool lifts, and auto lifts for your scooter power chair that goes on the back of your truck or car. So there's a lot of products that we can offer to the customer. And so part of what we offer, it's a complimentary evaluation. So when you call, we basically have an intake form and try to get as much information from that customer as we can. And then we'll schedule a time to come out and really lay eyes on that particular situation. Sometimes we talk to the end user customer, and sometimes we'll talk to a caregiver or a spouse
Or a family member.
or a family member that's they're taking care of them. They see the situation day in and day out, and then we really develop a game plan. They have a challenge, an issue, and we have a solution.
So how long have you been in business now?
5 months.
5 months.
5 months.
So your hair is still on fire and you're still drinking through a fire hose. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, little hair I have, yes.
Fire.
But-
He was in this condition prior to buying Next Day Access. Let's clarify.
Yeah, that's our disclaimer.
Yes, I lost it in 5 months.
Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about what training has been like for you. Like, what's the ramp up process been like?
So the whole process, onboarding, if you will, was about 8 to 10 weeks. And so once you sign a contract with the franchise, with Next Day Access, then you get handed over to a onboarding business development coach. And so they have it's an Excel sheet of like 97 things. It is a lot. And
There's a lot of moving parts in your business, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is before the doors opened.
Right,
This was just trying to, and then you open up one task and there's 4 subtasks under it. So you have weekly check-ins, and very much appreciated, just because those check-ins were intentional, so to keep us on track.
Yeah.
Because if we told them we were going to open May 1st, that they're doing everything in their power to make sure that we open on May 1st. And but we went to training in Memphis, Tennessee. Their headquarters in Bartlett. And for us, it was a week of it was 2 weeks of training. 1 week was in person, and then the second week was virtual training. And so for the first week, it was really laying eyes and hands on the ramps and the grab bars and taking things apart and putting them back together. And then the second week was more of like marketing and finance and accounting and all that good stuff. So yeah.
So you were in Memphis for 2 weeks.
For us, we were in Memphis for a week. We were the last, I guess, set of franchisees to come through before they revamped it to a 2-week.
Oh, okay.
So now it's 2 weeks in Memphis, which is a lot better because there's a lot to cover, as you can imagine. Even though I mentioned, there's about 8 core products, there's many others that the best advice that we were given and that I could share is when you are getting introduced to your dealers or vendors, is to sign up for training. And if you can go to that training before you open, you're just that much better ahead.
So this is training from the vendors?
From the vendors
okay.
themselves.
So
From the
in addition to
manufacturers.
Next
Right.
Day Access training, you could also attend vendor training.
Yes.
Because they're all experts on their each individual
Right.
product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to back up a little bit, I wanted to, there was something you said in conversation that I thought was worth bringing up on this, but I remember you saying, thank goodness for that spreadsheet, because if you didn't have that spreadsheet, you'd be left to your own devices. You'd be still stuck on step 3
or 2.
or 2. Yeah. So not just having the spreadsheet,
Yeah.
but having accountability, right? So it's, you've got to be accountable and then you have to execute, right? So
Yes, yeah, because this particular that was his role, to make sure accountability is a good word. That was his role, was to keep us on track, and you're trying to fill out. For us, there was workers' comp or general liability insurance, and if you're not familiar with that terminology and the application was literally 32 pages long.
wow.
And we got stuck, because it's like, this is foreign to us. It's,
Sure.
and so we, had to call and say, help us walk this through,
Yeah.
because we're struggling right now.
A lot of people that we speak with will say, well, why do I need a franchise for that? Why couldn't I just do that on my own? So, I think some of these examples are, you've got someone to hold your hand and someone to, and also hold you accountable, right? So there's a lot that goes into getting you up and running, and it's still very difficult, even with all of that.
Yeah. Anybody can open anything up. At the end of the day, you really don't, if you're knowledgeable enough and smart enough and you maybe know the right people, you could absolutely open your own business, but it would not take you 8 weeks. It would take you well longer than that.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
because there's so much training and knowledge and information that gets shared to us that you're right. We would be on step 3 right now.
And we have so many examples to learn from our other franchisees who have gone through, that are in their first 6 months or their first year or their 5th year, and we can go to them for that support and knowledge and wisdom when we're struggling with an issue.
I love hearing you say that, because I think that's so overlooked. A couple of things. One is, to your point, anybody can do it, but it's a timeline. So I think people don't necessarily think through the money. And I know it sounds weird, because when we're doing our workshops, we say it can be less expensive to get started in a franchise, but there's a lot of trial and error and maybe time wasted. Like you said, you might be on step 2 and now your doors are open and you're operating. And so otherwise, if you're trying to do it yourself, all this time has gone by with your learning curve. And then what you said, Leslie, is my favorite part of a franchise, is having other franchisees, colleagues doing the same thing you're doing, where you can share ideas, maybe co-market, just do, things together to really help each other's business grow. They're not your competitors, but they're somebody that's trying to achieve the same goal that you're trying to achieve.
And one huge advantage on this same topic is from getting involved with a franchise is the purchasing power. Because when you mention, when you go to a vendor and say, hi, I'm Billy Smith, and I'm trying to purchase XYZ product. Well, guess what? Billy Smith is only Billy Smith by himself. He or she's not getting that volume discount. Next Day Access has made arrangements. So you get deep concessions. You get really good discounts on your product.
Which also makes you more competitive in the market.
Absolutely.
Yes, right.
And
right.
that's because of the volume, because of, the number of franchisees that's going to continue to grow.
Right.
So that's also a really good point. Thanks for sharing that.
So it sounds like the support from the other franchisees has been good.
It's been very good.
Good.
Yeah.
So tell us about your grand opening.
Yes. So we opened May 1st of this year. So it's been almost 5 months now. And we hired our first employee. He started on day 1 with us. And he's been a fantastic member of our staff. And the thing about our being a small business is that Leslie and I were able to take the good and the bad from our past jobs and experiences and make this our own. It's our own company. And so I think our employee had said at one time, he's like, y'all treat me like family. And, you do things for me that my past bosses wouldn't do. And it's like, well, because you are family, and if you need help, he needed a ride into one day because his car was at the shop, and I'm like, I'll come pick you up. And he's like, you would do that? I'm like, why not? But
I need you here. That's right.
but as far as the grand opening goes, it was like mid June, so about a month and a half in, about 6 weeks in, we had our grand opening, and Chris Deal, he's our business development director. He and a marketing team member came and joined us, and so did you. So thank you.
Yeah, it was fun.
And one of the comments that I still remember is Chris said he was blown away by the attendees, the amount of attendees, the volume he was like, you guys had the best turnout I've ever been to.
So what do you credit that to? That's really interesting, that he hadn't seen. What do you think got people in your door?
Well, marketing.
And that's your background.
That's my background.
Good. Yeah.
But, just being methodical, building a list ahead of time, sending out those emails. The corporate marketing team developed an invitation for us electronically. And so, being selective as to who you want to invite. And we had a fun time. We had Chamber of Commerce from Salina. We had several council members there.
EDC members were there.
Yeah.
Which means
economic development.
Yes.
Council.
Good.
And,
so you have support from your community for sure.
Yeah, we had our mayor. Our mayor was there.
Nice.
And so yes.
Salina, right?
Of Salina.
You're physically
Yes.
in Salina.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
So give us a couple examples of, you're the marketing guru. Just give us a few examples of how you stay relevant and how you market yourself in your community.
Sure, absolutely. It's every day you're constantly thinking about new ways to market your business, and rather than putting, I would say, all of your eggs in one basket, it's a more of a scattershot approach, if you will, that you try to divide it up between the digital component, which is more like Facebook and LinkedIn. It's extremely important, which we run about an ad a month on a digital format, and make sure that the Google ads are in place. But outside of that, it's really spending time trying to get yourself out in the marketplace. And hospitals, rehab centers, those are two of the biggest opportunities. Just because they're churning out patients every day that need to go home, and they can't go home until they get their house retrofitted. But besides that, we're going to get to do something. Actually, two things we're going to get to do fun. Tomorrow is the Salina Homecoming Parade.
Oh.
And so Leslie entered us in, and so for $30, we get to enter our van.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we're going to decorate. So that's what we're going to do tonight, is we're going to go decorate the van in Salina Bobcat Orange. And then, so that's number one, fun. And then number two is next month, it's in November.
November 4th.
It's the Veterans Parade in Frisco.
Nice.
And so we've entered the van into that as well. So the money goes toward it goes toward the community. So you're number one, you're getting good exposure, but the $400 that you're paying as an entry fee goes to a good cause.
Yeah.
So
it's a great way to get your name out there. I love hearing you say to blend the digital and the in-person. Both are so important, and I think sometimes we overlook the value of that in person. I remember y'all telling us that it was important to you to have a business that served a purpose and was able to give back. And so this is a great example of you being able to do that and have a little fun at the same time and really support your community, your veterans.
Yeah, we had I would say we had an opportunity recently where one of our customers wanted to provide a tip to us. A little bonus, if you will. And this threw me off guard. I really wasn't expecting that. And, we had done a few things above and beyond for her as well to try to take care of her, and had made several trips out to visit with her just to make sure that she had some dementia issues. And I don't know, I just wanted to make sure she really understood how to operate her lift. And so she offered us a tip. And when she said, well, is XYZ amount, enough? I'm like, I don't really know how to answer that.
Right.
It's like whatever you feel comfortable with. And so she gave us a nice sizable bonus tip. And Leslie and I decided that we wanted to reinvest that into the community. So again, giving back to the community. So we went to our bank and opened up a savings account and called it her name. So it's X Fund. And
I think we can share her name. It's the Carol Fund.
And so that's how it's written at the bank. And so it's used for those customers that maybe have a little financial difficulty, or, I'm a little short on cash and I really need this, but I can't afford it.
Oh, wow. That's
So
wonderful.
for us, it's a way of being able to, again, say, you know what, we can help you out. And then we also had some extra ramp component that arrived damaged. And so they said, well, rather than send it back, just keep it. But it was unusable to us. So I went and found a recycling center, and I got $97 out of this aluminum. And so again, that went into the Carol Fund.
I love that.
That's really cool.
It is. And a lot of people want to give back, and they want a business that can give back. And you have a business in itself that gives back because it serves a need. But, there's other ways to give back to your community just through those examples, even if your business itself doesn't. Maybe it frees up time where you could go volunteer somewhere or generate enough extra money to donate or create a fund or whatever. So that's great.
You mentioned something when we were speaking about marketing that I think is important, and I want you to just kind of talk about that today. You talked about getting to know your competitors, because you've actually gotten referrals from some of your competitors that can't provide some of the services exactly like you can, right?
Correct. Right. Absolutely. So our competitors are either really direct in meaning that they offer exactly what we do, or it's called DME, which is durable medical equipment. And so
they're tangent, but not at the same.
Exactly. Right. And so I visited both of those. I went to our head-to-head competitor and actually did a little secret shopping at first, just to go in and pretend like I need a ramp or a stair lift, and let them tell me about their delivery. And I found out that they don't keep ramp on stock or in hand like we do. So hence the word next day. We can be out, in the next day and actually install it. This competitor does not. And so it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for it to arrive. And they also don't install grab bars. They sell them, but they won't install them. So, that was two unique differences where we can capitalize. But the story that I was telling you was with a DME company. And I went in just to visit with them, and they had just opened. And we weren't even open yet. All I had on me was a business card. Next day business card. I had no collateral whatsoever. And I went in and introduced myself. They primarily sell mobility scooters and power chairs. And while we do offer that, and we do sell those, that was their primary focus. And so I gave her a business card, and out of that, because obviously when the phone rings, that's one of the first questions we ask is, how did you hear about us? And that's important, because if we're not if we're not getting enough customers through the avenues we are, maybe we needed to diversify our funding,
Absolutely.
and spend it elsewhere. So it's always critical to understand why your phone is ringing, and how did they, our numbers on the side of our van. That was one of our first customers was, I saw your van. And
good.
And we have a unique phone number for a lot of different things. And that was something else that I would advise as a suggestion tip is if you can structure phone numbers that are related to specific marketing collateral, events, in our case, the van, our website, every touch point has a different phone number. So that way we can track
it. Yeah.
And, but yeah, it was very unique and interesting from that perspective that I didn't realize just from that meeting her, it would bring, I would say I'd have to use more than two hands to really understand the volume of an. So I've called her, back and just said, what's your favorite restaurant? I need to send you a gift card, because she's done plenty. But I've been able to do the same to her. Yeah. There's things that we don't offer, and or that we don't have in stock, and I'll be like, here's her name, here's her number. She's the manager. Call her. She'll take care of you.
Well, go ahead, Leslie.
I was going to say, we just kind of choose to see it as we can collaborate with the others in the market instead of having it be a competition.
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it.
It is.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing all that. It's valuable to those that are going to be listening because these are some of the questions that people have or might not realize. So, Leslie, I'm going to ask this question of you since you are the president.
Okay.
If someone walked up to you and said, hey, I'm really thinking about starting a business or I'm interested in franchising, what is one piece of advice that you would give them?
I would give them the advice to do a little bit of research and understand the process of going through the discovery phase and understanding how to evaluate the companies that you're looking at. And the second step to that would be to find a franchise consultant to work with, one that has been in the industry for a long time, who has good feedback and good customer reviews from the franchisees that they have graduated out of their services. And I think those are the two biggest things that you could do to start off on a good foot.
Excellent. Would you add anything to that?
Always listen to your wife.
Okay, that's excellent. That is most excellent advice. Oh, and lastly, if someone were trying to get a hold of you,
yes,
how would they do that?
Many ways. So
give them one of your 15 phone numbers.
Yeah, right. We need to add a new phone number for the podcast.
Maybe. Oh, that's an idea. I like it. So nextdayaccess.com/Celina, CELINA-TX. And then we're also on Facebook and LinkedIn.
And our main phone number is 469-361-3300.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much for taking time out of your day. I know you are so busy, and we appreciate you spending time with us to share your experiences as unpredicted entrepreneurs. Thank you all for listening. If you would like to hear more of our podcasts, you can find them on our YouTube channel, along with much additional educational information. That is FranNet of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma. Again, I am Sarah Waskow, Waskow, joined by my colleague Roxanne Rapske, Rapske. Please look us up on LinkedIn. We're very active there and provide lots of educational resources there as well. Thanks again for listening, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.